What are these on the left?
Oh, great. Gotta find my name so I can remember it.
Oh, I got a microphone.
Yeah, so
Oh.
we have 2 microphones.
Okay.
I'm not sure how many people would be here, but okay, so then if you talk into this one, it plays on these speakers out to the crowd.
Okay.
And then we got the speakers mic'd up over here, so they should be able to hear. And we stuff mic'd up over here, so they should be able to hear each other pretty well.
Nice.
Jeff asked if we could do the Zoom speakers first.
See if we can get them off.
Yeah, one of them is not going to speak. There's only one Zoom speaker.
Okay.
And then we have these
Okay.
people to turn in their comment cards at 550. And then I have 2 to read for the mic. So
And when do you want to do this?
I'll do it last. So we'll do Zoom. We'll do these.
That one first. I wrote one on.
I just put them in the first order.
Said just.
Which one?
That's a great.
This is gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, people, maybe it'll be-
Hopefully
It's dark in here. I don't know what that is. He said it's a lot like my name. I have to figure out what my name is. Oh, I do that. That's just weird.
keep them track. Jacob, can you keep track of Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll keep track.
These are- these are- Where's my? I'm right next to you. You are right. Well, I asked you. So like we're in here trying to find the flag. Happy birthday, Oregon. 1859.
56, isn't it?
56.
1850 something. I don't know, it should be on the flag, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
It does. I think it's 1850 something.
Yeah. Something I remember.
Okay, so.
I call it that.
Okay. Testing. Okay.
They were early. I'm a little scared.
Microphones up here, they're both off. You guys feel like you need to use a mic to play over the speakers for the back. Wow. Couple mics here. No. You- Repeat that time.
I wanted to suggest that if people want to show support for something that's being said, because that was, one of the problems last time or in August, that instead of like clapping or cheering, that people would stand up if they want to. They would have some way of expressing that, because I think it's important that, that you get a sense of how people are, like as a whole are feeling about it. But we understand that, you don't want the meeting to, sort of get out of control.
So I was gonna talk about that too.
Okay, super.
Thank you for the suggestion. There you go. Okay. I call the Bank School District meeting into session. If we could all rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everyone. Before we get started, I would just wanted to just be mindful that please respect everyone, one person, and wear your mask, as this is our requirements. And if we are not able to do so, we'd have to return back to Zoom. And then during public comment, please hold any approval or disagreement with speakers' comments as we try to create a safe and respectful environment for the speaker. Okay. And then we will go on to audience comments. So we do have one.
Gotta approve the agenda.
Oh, I have one more thing to read. Sorry. So regarding the audience comments, the Banks School District Board of Directors requests comments be limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Speakers will state their name and city of residence for the record. The board appreciates community members sharing information during public comments. While the board does not respond to public comment following the meeting, the chair and the vice chair and superintendent will together determine the appropriate level of response. Speakers may offer objective criticism of district operations or programs, but the board will not hear complaints specific to Banks District personnel. And now we will have a motion to approve agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. Okay, we do not have any presentations, so we will move to audience comments. We have one on Zoom, which we will go first. And I will say, just to let everyone know, Jeff wasn't able to make it today. He is available on Zoom and will be running the Zoom. Jeff, you want to?
Yeah, so first public comment, the one that we have online is Travis Schlegel. So Travis, you have your 5 minutes.
Yes, thanks for having me here. And I just wanted to, once again, thanks for all that you're doing for the school and the board, and offer the encouragement of the people that are getting through and slogging through these final 6 weeks until we can safely return back to school, get all these policies and procedures in place to allow everybody, including the most vulnerable of us, back to school, and the most vulnerable families. Don't really have a lot more to say than that. So not going to use my entire 5 minutes. My naked son's getting out of the tub now, wants to say hi, so I'm not gonna show that. But thanks for your time, and keep up the good work. Thanks.
Thank you, Travis. Okay, that was our only Zoom. We could have the speaker, Ilea Hoffler.
It's Ayla.
Ayla, thank you. Yep.
Right.
Hold it down closer to you.
Okay, so I talked to the superintendent last week, begging to have our in-person meeting. And so first and foremost, I would like to speak on behalf of all of you here in person today. A sincere thank you. We brought a token of flowers and chocolate in addition to that Valentine's Day. Thank you. I think it's great that you could accommodate both people that want to be here that can't with naked children, and those of us who really like to see you in person. I want to mention, and I told Jeff that I would be sure to say this, we as a group here, I will speak for all of us, that we are not here to threaten anybody, intimidate anybody, insult anybody, in or on the board or in the room. We do, however, expect answers to our questions in a timely manner in writing. in the school board section of the website. These are my thoughts now. The website really needs to be revamped for the average constituent like myself, who doesn't always have a school and everything all the time. But when I go to the website, the only thing that's under school board for me directly that I see are the YouTube things. But for me to get to those parts where it says school board members, policy and procedure for these meetings, the minutes, which I find sorely shortened. I'm used to the day when our school board meeting minutes were in full. They were taped and dictated and we had to simply write them. I thought they were supposed to be a legal document. So now my question to you tonight is YouTube. If we have restaurant policy, by the way, that when we talk, we can take this down. Like we do in a restaurant to have drink water.
That's fine with me.
Thank you. You know, I don't think YouTube's really legal, and a lot of constituents may not even know about YouTube or use it. So that's a question I have for you out there. And if we could redesign that section of school board so we can find the minutes, we can find answers to questions that are proposed to the board so that we could see a response in a timely manner, and the minutes in a timely manner. And finally, to have the next school board meeting there to find out what it is and where it is. It'd be really helpful for folks. The other thing I want to address is that as a new nurse and a health science education teacher myself, I will stand here and say that the children do not need to wear masks another 6 weeks. The 6 weeks is a lifetime to them, and there's no scientific or clinical evidence that I've seen to date that supports this. It seems to be that it's politics and money, and I would like to know what the repercussions are if this school decides tomorrow to stop masks. Are you going to just be penalized by not getting your COVID money for February and March? How much money is that? Is 6 more weeks of putting our kids into this terrible situation worth the dollars that she might be penalized from? I don't think there's any amount of money that is worth putting our kids through 6 more weeks of this. You don't need to do any more testing. It doesn't matter. The way you keep track of testing isn't even relevant. You say you have this many more new cases, but you don't compare how many people were tested. So it means nothing. It's all proportionate. People are testing like mad because they're forced. You're home. You're sent home, you got to test. You're going back, you got to test. You got to go to work, you got to test. There are so many friggin' tests being done. You have no data that's meaningful. If you have a kid that's gone to the ER in a hospital or has been admitted to a hospital, that's the only thing that should matter. Because you know what's happening in your district, your kids, your people. And I bet my bottom dollar, there's not one. If they've gone to urgent care, seen their own pediatrician, been home for 2 or 3 days sick, and they're back to school. It doesn't matter if other children get it. Now, if you have a compromised child, they are excluded from that. I understand that. They have to be protected, but 99% of the students that come here will get COVID, go through, and have the best natural immunity they can have, the best protection. So that's that. So with mandated vaccines, we've lost so much good voluntary staff. We don't need to do this. We have a right to choose. I would like the school board to support that, like other school districts do in this state. Finally, that's 5 minutes. Okay.
Is your last point short?
I'm sorry.
Is your last point short? Do you want to
It's
finish?
just that I want to still encourage that we have town hall meetings for an hour before the board, so that your constituents from all over the district, we have over 5,000 people that vote, pay taxes to this district. We'd like to come. We'd like to be a part of decision-making. Did I miss somebody?
No, sure.
Oh, there we go. Okay. And talk about the curriculum. That was my other thing.
Okay, next speaker, we have Kristen Cardi. Thank you. Sorry.
Hey, my name is Kristen Cardi. I live in Banks and I have a child at middle school. I'm here today to voice my support for ending universal masking on the 31st. It's very exciting to imagine ourselves getting back to local control with regard to masking. However, having read through the memo from ODE, I understand that this is more local control-ish because while you may get to choose whether to end universal masking, if you do, you'll now be required to follow the ODE guidelines for general exposure. I know this could impact the learning of some of our kids. This also means additional burden on the school in terms of contact tracing and notifications. Despite these obstacles, I still support dropping universal masking. I believe we are at the point in this pandemic where the benefits of universal masking are outweighed by the detriments. I have always understood the requirement for universal mask mandates in schools to be about preventing schools from being a vector for spreading COVID to the rest of the community, and about protecting children who are not eligible for vaccines. With vaccines available for all school-age kids and adults and expanded treatment options, the impact to the community should be less severe if COVID begins spreading at school due to lack of masking. And our community members have had ample opportunity to protect themselves by getting a vaccine. Individuals now have a set of tools accessible to them to protect themselves should they need extra protection against COVID. In addition, the masks that the school makes available for use by the kids are inappropriate for the virus as it has mutated today. Between vaccinations and natural immunity, our community is likely already well protected from COVID. The declining case numbers from the county seem to back that up. The current ODE quarantine guidelines seem to allow proof of recent COVID infection in lieu of a vaccine. So it seems to me that there may be a low percentage of kids left who might be required to quarantine in the event of an exposure. I request that you poll the parents of the district and ask them if they're willing to forego tests to stay and return to general exposure guidelines in order to make masking optional. This will make sure the parents are clear on the choice and the consequence that comes with that choice. Parents should be clearly informed of the protocols and be able to make the decision that's best for their family, while clearly understanding their personal responsibility. Parents will have time to vaccinate their kids before March 31st should they choose to, and should they choose not to and have no proof of prior infection, they will have time to plan ahead for possible quarantines. In my opinion, the general exposure protocols from ODE, which were released last year, are no longer appropriate for the stage of the pandemic we are in today. I would also like to request that you send a letter to ODE requesting that the exposure protocols be advisory and not required, and also to allow local decision-making with regard to exposure protocols so that we can adapt our protocol more rapidly and appropriately with our local conditions. Unmasking everyone places the burden of protection solely on individual families. While I do believe that parents should take personal responsibility for their own medical choices, I believe that there may be equity issues in some cases where individuals might wish to remain masked, either because they need extra protection for themselves or because they might wish to protect a vulnerable family member. Because of this, I'd like to request that you make high-quality N95, KN95, or KF94 masks available at the school to any teacher, staff, or student who wishes to mask. While ideally parents would keep their kids home if they're sick, I would also like to request that if a student comes to school and is showing symptoms at all, that they be asked to mask up at school, regardless of their immunity status or a negative COVID test. Even a surgical or cloth mask will prevent transmission via virus-laden droplets when worn by an infected person. This will also prevent the flu and other colds from spreading so easily at school, and it seems like a reasonable policy to keep even beyond the pandemic. So, thanks for listening.
Thank you. Catherine Williams?
Good evening. My name is Catherine Williams. I live in Phoenix. I have two children. And I'm not here to talk about fasting. As all of you are aware, the music program at the high school and at the middle school has been canceled for the rest of the year. I completely understand why and recognize that the situation with the current band teacher is out of control. However, I'm here to talk about what led to where we are today with the music program. My daughter came to dance in 6th grade, and after meeting Mr. LeBron at the school orientation, I decided she wanted to do band. She decided on the trumpet and was a natural. Band quickly became her favorite class, and she discovered joy and a lot of pride in playing music with her peers. She loved band. Classes went to CBL, and she did not want to put her hand in. She continued to practice on her own every day for the rest of the year and over the summer. She's excited to get back to band. However, that may work. It wasn't until the Meet the Teacher Zoom that we found out that the music program was cut completely and one of her favorite teachers is gone. She was devastated, but wasn't yet ready to leave music, so she did private lessons with Lucy for the entire 7th grade year and over the summer. Also, she would feel ready for band this year. She didn't just enjoy playing the trumpet, she enjoyed playing in a band with her friends. At first, I understand why music might be dropped because of online learning. But then I started to see and hear about the music programs that were going on in the districts around us. And while not perfect, they made it work and kept music in the students' lives and part of the schools. We adapted, and the projects that came out were creative, and they were amazing, and they were beautiful. These districts and these children and teachers adapted because they value music and the arts. Band this year was a terrible experience for my kid. She would come home in tears of frustration and disappointment. I reached out and tried to brainstorm ideas of how band could be a more positive experience for her, but it just kept getting worse and worse. My daughter's put her trumpet down, and it's done. Her love for her horn and playing music with peers is gone. And I know she isn't the only one. I'm positive this would not have been the case if Mr. LeBron was still here in Phoenix. My daughter only had Mr. LeBron for half a year, and he is still one of her favorite teachers she has ever had. She and other 8th grade students that were in band this year would talk about how great he is, how cool he is, how much they miss him, and what band would be like if he was still here, and how he would play the drums, he would jam with the band. They, to this day, adore him, and they haven't seen him in a while. Something that needs to be said is that the timing and how Mr. LeBron was informed about the cutting of his music classes in time for the 2020-2021 school year is cruel. It was incredibly cruel. Something, first and foremost, we lost a fantastic educator, an incredible talent, role model, and inspiration for our students. Secondly, you lost the only Black teacher in the entire school district. Someone that my daughter and a few of her friends know that understand some of what they have and are continuing to experience at school. Representation is important. I've heard countless stories from Black folks, including my husband this morning, about how important and pivotal it was in their lives to have a teacher that looked like them, that could relate to them. I asked that the situation with Mr. LeBron be part of the Northwest Regional BSD equity audit. I don't have the time, nor do I think I need to go into the value of music and arts in school and education. I'm confident that you all are aware of that already. I don't expect, and to be honest, I don't want an explanation or an apology for the failure of the music program at Phoenix. I'm not asking for an explanation. I'm informing you that you failed my daughter. You failed all the students that have either an active interest in or even curiosity about music. And you failed the school community. And it's my understanding that this is not the first time the district has failed when it comes to music. It's too late for my daughter and for many of the students in high school and middle school, but it's not too late for all students, and it's not too late for our future students. I'm standing before you now, asking you to do better, to want to do better, and I trust that you will for this day. Please, going forward, value music, and please value the students that love music. Thank you for your time and for your service to our students.
Catherine, I know you don't want an apology, but please know that you have one. A show of hands, how many people out there actually knew that the music program was cut 3 weeks ago? How many of you were going to talk about it tonight? This is a real problem. This is a real problem our community can solve, and we choose not to. We have other problems. How many people knew that we didn't have heat in this room or this half of the school all the month of December? How many? How many were going to bring that up in January as a problem like we need to solve? We have problems here. We have big problems, and we have to work together to get through them. I'm really sorry. This really bothers me. I was a music person. Really bothers me. I'm terribly sorry.
If we could have Brody.
Good question there.
We're not, this is not the time. This is public comment.
I
Okay.
just want to know how those things were communicated. How
So Jody,
do we know
we
that?
are moving on to public comment. We have Brody coming up to speak.
Some people wondering why we are passing this year and so on. But we have last year, the year before.
Can you ask that? Can you just like take his mask?
I also know.
You can take this.
Take your mask down. Sorry.
Okay, there you go, Brody.
I was vaccinated, or I don't have any vaccinations. I haven't had a school sign anything. I rarely get sick, and also I get the vaccine this year, but not last year, the year before.
I'll extend just a little bit on that. So my kids have always had an exemption through banks. None of my kids are vaccinated for everything, and it's always been okay. And his concern is, why now with the COVID vaccine, is it not okay? Why is it that if he doesn't have a vaccine, he has to quarantine longer? Why, without a vaccine, does he have to do different things than other kids? And he doesn't understand why. Last year it was okay that they didn't have the flu vaccine or the measles vaccine or the chickenpox, but now with the COVID, there are no more exemptions, and it's like a big deal breaker. And people talk about it all the time, and they ask him all the time, and it's offensive to him, and he gets really upset by, why does it matter? Why do you care if I'm vaccinated or not? If your vaccine works for you, why does it matter if my kid is vaccinated or not? And he has a big problem with that, and he has a hard time with the masks in general, so that's why Berlin's there.
That's not all.
You have one time.
But also, I'm also wondering why people who have been protesting were sent to the library room and held back from their activities.
Tell them a little bit more.
And
Say in elementary school.
in elementary school, that's one of the things. And also, there's a word that people got sat down in middle school and told you need to wear a mask because you're going to get paid enough. Is that true?
So Brody, just to let you know, the school board does not respond to questions.
Just make statements, and then they'll give you written things about postings about it.
Okay, thank you, Brody.
Thank you, Brody.
This concern was in the elementary school. The kids were treated really differently. The first day they were put in the library, and they were given their projects and things, homework and things to do. But the next 2 times he tried to protest, They were set in the principal's office, in the benches, and made to wear masks in the office until they were picked up. And then on the third day that I picked him up, at about 11:30, I don't really remember, he came out ahead of time and said that they were told, there were 3 of them in the office that day, that if they came back to school the next day, they'd be refused entry. And that set that kid on fire. He's wants me to pull him from school and not come back to Banks, because he feels like no one's listening, and he's treated really unfairly, and that they're not listening to him, and they're not listening to the children of the schools. So that's
And I didn't catch your name.
Mariah, Mariah.
Thank you.
Do you want my last name?
Sure.
Vredenberg, V as in Victor, Reden, B as in boy, URG. And I have 4 kids in the big school district.
Thank you. Okay. Agla Sage. Oh, 2. Got you.
My name is Sage Harris.
Take your mask off, would you please?
My name is Sage Harris. I'm a freshman at Leeds High School. When you first.
I'm Ava Marsh, and I'm also a freshman at Leeds High School.
Okay. When you put the mask mandate for our school, we want the vaccinated kids and unvaccinated kids to be treated the same.
If you do, if they are treated the same, we would like to know that your plan is that will not discriminate between vaccinated and unvaccinated kids. And if it's not, like if you're not going to treat them the same, we wanted to know how you would treat them. We also want to know whether you have a written policy on quarantine vaccinated and unvaccinated kids throughout the school and elementary schools.
I'm sorry you guys are tired of hearing about COVID stuff, but it's truly stressing our lives right now.
Thank you. Amanda? Amanda?
Hello, everyone. My name is Amanda Burchett. I live in Manning. I'm a 3rd grade student in Wilmer Elementary School, and I have my child set to start kindergarten in the fall, assuming all goes well. I would like to start off by taking a moment to thank you for listening to requests from the community members and finally allowing an in-person board meeting. I have a few different topics I would like to address tonight, so I'll do my best to be short, sweet, and to the point. First and foremost, I would like to address the face mask mandate. I realize this is a hot topic and one that many of us are sick of having to fight over. Personally, I can't wait for the day my family can ditch the mask and never look back. We've played the back and forth game long enough. It's time for all of us to end and let our children get back to being children. We're asking for too much from them. We've robbed them for 2 full years of their precious childhoods, time and experiences they can never get back. This is the 3rd school year that has been structured around the need to wear a face mask and social distance. And in my opinion, enough is enough. School's so much more than just an education. It's about building relationships and social skills. It's about learning how to read nonverbal communication and facial expressions. The sad reality is that there's kids in my daughter's class who she spent the last 2 years around, and she can honestly say she really doesn't even know what a lot of them look like. In my opinion, that's heartbreaking and it's wrong. I realize that this isn't necessarily all on your shoulders, but I can't help but feel like there's more that you could be doing to advocate for our children. It's time to take back local control and stand up against the endless mandates and allow our children to move forward with the education that they not only deserve, but are entitled to as Oregon residents and American citizens. I'd like to take it one step further than that, though, and be more specific. Specifically speaking for my family and I, but I also feel confident that I speak for many others in the community. We'd like to specify and request that once the mask mandate finally ends on March 31st, that we will be provided assurance that Those who are unvaccinated will not be discriminated against and still be required to wear face masks. Not only does the science show that masks are ineffective at stopping the spread of COVID-19, we're also unaware of the long-term effects of the day in and day out masking. One thing we do know is that our kids are sick of it, and I'm not willing to subject my children to the prolonged psychological damage that will result from being forced to continue masking. Secondly, and I believe even more importantly, I'd like to know exactly what the Banks School District intends to do as far as requiring COVID-19 vaccines coming in the coming school year. Will the vaccine be required for enrollment? If it is indeed added to the list of required vaccines, will exemptions be allowed? And what will the process be to obtain an exemption? My children are unvaccinated, and we have no intention of getting vaccinated at this time, with the science clearly showing that the vaccines do not make you any less likely to catch or spread COVID. I do not see how it could be even possible to make it mandatory. The vaccine is a symptom suppressor at best. True, it can reduce the risk of hospitalization and death, particularly in the elderly and those with underlying health conditions. But given the fact our family has contracted and recovered from COVID twice and are generally speaking healthy, we have weighed the cost and benefits and decided we will not be getting the vaccine at this time, something we still have the right to do as American citizens the last time I checked. I would like to request that if not at this month's meeting, by the next month at the latest, we'd be made aware of the district's plans for the fall so appropriate accommodations can be made should you decide to move forward with requiring the vaccine. I feel confident in saying that should you choose to make the vaccine required and make it difficult for parents to obtain exemptions, and should you make it difficult for them to really make their own decisions for their own children, you will see many families choose to leave the district, which will only hurt your health in the long run. I would like to state for the sake of clarity, my children will not be enrolled in the 22-23 school year should you choose to make it difficult and or discriminate based on vaccination status. Now, finally, I would request that you remove the requirement for classroom volunteers to be vaccinated. We have the right to have access to our children, and as stated earlier, the science is clear that even fully vaccinated and boosted individuals are still catching and spreading the virus, which means we have been unable to be actively involved in our children's education for the last 6 months or not. One thing has been consistent in all of this year's board meetings, and that's the fact that your staff needs help. Your teachers and administrators are overworked, overstressed, and understaffed. I can't help but think there are countless individuals who would gladly step up and lend a helping hand should we be allowed to do so. This is something that should be allowed to be decided locally. So again, I ask you to advocate for local control. Please reconsider and address your decision regarding classroom volunteers as soon as possible. Over the last 2.5 years, we've allowed media and propaganda. All right, well, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I will be carefully consider all of the matters and points to be brought forth this evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Jody?
School board, I want to agree and give thanks to you for meeting us in person. We really appreciate it. And I want to speak to you from my heart. I know all of you are good people, and you want what is best for our children. We all know that. But I believe you are not doing your job. You are taking care of things that are really important. I've watched and participated in every school board meeting. I see what you're doing, the work that you're doing, and I appreciate that. But you were elected to act as our representatives in running the school district, and as elected officials, you are accountable to us before any other authority, not the state, and not, and not ODE and not OHA. But you have been refusing for almost 2 years now to listen to and heed the will of our community regarding the difficult and contentious issues facing us right now. Months ago, I read to you from the BSD policy statement regarding the people in our school district code AD, which begins, the public schools belong to the people, and it continues, the people are the ultimate governors of public education, and the board is directly accountable to the people through the elected process. I would also like to read to you from the BSD policy statement, quote, on quote, community involvement in decision-making, code KC. It says, the schools belong to the citizens, this is a quote, citizens of Bank School District whom they are created to serve. All reasonable efforts should be exerted to identify the desire of the community and to be responsible to those desires. The following are two major ways in which the will of the community shall influence the development of the bank's policies. This is still within that quote. One, board members themselves will remain mindful that they are elected to represent the people of the district. Two, citizens of the district will be encouraged to express ideas, concerns, and judgments about the schools through such means as letters, public comment, etc. End of quote. School board, we have kept our part of the agreement month after month. For 7 months now, I have come to you to speak about concerns as well as constructive ideas for change. Month after month, I have written long letters in the hope of opening dialogue with you about important issues. But aside from one response from Dan Scarpa, which I appreciated deeply, and one advisory from Jeff Leo to direct my concerns to ODE and OHA, as opposed to him, you have literally and utterly ignored everything I have spoken. I have also asked on multiple occasions for the opportunity to speak with some of you in person. Multiple times I have asked requests that have gone entirely unanswered. In addition to these things, in October, a group of us took the time and made a serious effort to create a petition related to reasonable efforts on your part to, quote, identify the desire of the community. We asked for a long forum discussion and for you to establish some method by which to solicit feedback from the community. And yet your response was essentially that you could not meet in the long form, that public comment at these school board meetings should suffice, that you already do surveys when you think they're necessary, that you share the results of them when you deem it important, and that you are not constrained in any way to provide a board response to any comment made at these school board meetings. In fact, during the January 2022 work session, Will Moore proposed that the written board policy, official written board policy with regard to public comment should be amended to include an assertion that the board is under no obligation to respond to the public. This is captured on video, was voted on by the whole board, and is reflected in the minutes from the meeting. Quote, include, comments may not warrant action by the board. To say that all of this is discouraging, frustrating, and angering would be an understatement. I feel deeply disrespected as a person and as a bank's parent, doing everything she can to take care of her children and to be a voice for parents who feel as she does. But do you know what else? It is a fundamental affront to our community and the democratic norms that should govern it. I ask you, have you fulfilled your duty to me as my representatives? And can you honestly say that you are fulfilling your civic responsibility to our community? I would argue that you are not. And at a time when your engagement with us could not have been more important to the health and well-being of our children. As you are well aware, there is a very significant portion of our community, perhaps a majority, we are not sure because you have refused to actively seek that information, that are deeply opposed to the mask and vaccine mandates. We believe the masks are actively and truly harming our children, and we believe the vaccine mandate is utterly immoral. It is deeply discriminatory against religious and political conservatives, and because of it, you are refusing the right of many of the bank's parents to participate in their children's classrooms as volunteers and coaches. You ended Coach Stephanie's coaching career here at Banks, despite the fact that hundreds of community members voiced their disagreement with your decision to follow this vaccine mandate.
Jody, you reached 5 minutes.
Literally, I cannot understand how you can justify these actions. But to return to my main argument, you owe it to us to engage in dialogue with us about these things. And you are in fact obligated by your duty as elected officials to respond to these issues we are raising here. For the last 2 years, we have been speaking into a void and to a body determined not to be accountable to public opinion. That must change. Either by your deciding to behave as duly elected officials, by choosing to resign if we can't do that, or by other democratic means by which we can please attain a board that will take seriously its responsibility to serve us and to represent us.
Thank you, Jody. Next one is Daniel. Okay. Jen Harris.
My comment's quick, because I didn't really actually prepare anything. I want to tell you, thank you for bringing up Mr. LeBron. He was instrumental in my son's life. He's 17 now, junior. He's going to school in Burley, Idaho, so we didn't want to mess with anything here. But he misses that man a lot. So thank you for bringing that up. I just want to advocate as we move forward with the changes in the mandates that we do treat the kids equally. I know that we have immunocompromised children in our school, and that we have learned from this previous variant that obviously it doesn't matter if you're vaccinated or not, catch COVID, spread COVID. So when we move forward with the quarantine, I would like to advocate that we quarantine everyone equally. So either no quarantines or all quarantines, no matter your vaccination status. I think that's really important. If we truly are worried about COVID and we want to keep our community safe, then that should be the standard. I mean, otherwise you're treating kids unfairly, and that's a shame to impact one person's, education over another's just based on something that has been proven almost ineffective at this point. So that's all I'd like to say. So thanks you guys for being here. Appreciate everything you do.
Thank you. Okay, that takes us through 3.0 audience comments. We're on to 4.0. Oh, I'm sorry, Jacob. Yep, there's two more that if you could read. Thank you for that.
One of the options people have is to email their comments. Today I'll be impersonating a few folks here. I'm Mr. Pence, the high school principal. But for the next couple of minutes, I am Sarah Withrow, Banks parent. Dear board members, my daughter is on the Banks High School dance team. She absolutely loves to dance. She loves her coach, and she's made some great friends. What she doesn't love is the lack of a consistent practice space. The girls practice for 2 hours and 45 minutes, 3 times a week, and really compared to club dance, that is a drop in the bucket. Instead of getting right into practice each day, many times the team is scrambling to find where they will practice. This eats into the time they should be spending on learning new skills and new routines. The biggest concern I have as a parent is the safety and health of my child. Practicing on concrete is not good. It is terrible on joints. There are many articles on this subject. Doing a simple Google search is a great way to learn more. But also, I've spoken to my daughter's doctor. So when the girls have to practice in the cafeteria or hallway, which is absolutely unacceptable to me, the school district is setting these girls up for injuries. As a matter of fact, we have a young lady currently injured, and I don't want to see any more. But not giving these girls space they deserve, the school district is telling everyone that dance is not important. I'm sure that is not the intention, but it is definitely how we feel. There are many misconceptions about dance. Unfortunately, the show dance moms really put a poor image on dance. I can assure you that dance is a very hard sport. Here are a few traits that girls learn to master in dance. Persistence, physical stamina, teamwork, interpersonal skills, leadership skills, creativity, physical dexterity, balance, rhythm, and sportsmanship. I can keep going, but I think you get the idea. I would like to invite the members of the board to a practice. Maybe if you watch how hard these kids work, you will help advocate for them. The little bit seen at halftime shows is not even close to the amazing things these young ladies accomplish. Imagine how much more they could achieve if given the proper practice space. I would love to discuss this further as needed. I am also able to be part of the troubleshooting process to help solve the issue. Thank you for reading my letter, and thank you for all you do for your schools and banks. It is really appreciated. Sincerely, Sarah Withrow.
Jacob, how many girls are in the dance team now?
10, 11, 10?
And they're practicing now for state, or do they have other?
I think they just had a competition this last weekend where they took first place as a team. They have different routines, they're calm, and they have another different categories.
Competition on the 5th of March, maybe that was high school, and then state or city on March.
That's fantastic.
Jacob, you want to go to that? We're still in public comment, so you want to go to the next one?
Yes, and the next comment, I'll be impersonating Susan Bear, Banks resident. Susan says, "Thank you. We would like to express our support and appreciation to the Banks School District and the Banks School Board. We appreciate how difficult the last 2 years have been. We are grateful that through your work, our students have been able to return to school safely. We acknowledge that the school district and school board have to keep the well-being of not just our students, but also the Banks School District staff in mind with every decision they make. We especially would like to thank the school board members. In the current negative environment, we can imagine how easy it would be to let someone else do the job, to choose to sacrifice your privacy, your time, and to put yourself out in the public eye, knowing what the environment is like, knowing what has happened in other school boards, constantly being publicly criticized and rarely publicly praised is nothing short of heroic. So we want to make sure that you know there are community members that are not as loud and not as visible to support and thank you for being a part of our community and doing this job. Keep up the good work. Sue Berry.
Thank you, Jacob. Okay, now we're done with audience comments. Move on to 4.0 consent agreement. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agreement?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agreement or agenda.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. We have one action item. And Jeff is not here to talk about that, so I don't know. Jeff, are you on?
Yep, I am.
You want to go talk about the action item 5.1?
Yeah, so this is the ESD local service plan, and this is something we bring to you every school year. And it is in your packet. It is basically our service credits, and we get a lot of special education services and technology, and they also provide professional development and things like that. So it looks good. We've reviewed it. And we'll continue what it is this year. So if maybe Joni can add something if needed, or just looking for an approval of the service plan.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for 5.1 approval of the Northwest Regional Education School District Service Plan? Motion? Yep. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Move on to 6.0 for discussion items, Equity and Inclusion Committee. Jeff, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I can start, and then Dan and Carissa, if you want to add to it. So Darla, Dan, Carissa, and I, we have some homework, and we're currently reviewing the first step of our plan to get to a Equity and Inclusion Committee in the district, and that is reviewing an equity audit, and conduct a survey in our district. After meeting with the ESD, one of the things we need to do is, first of all, identify 2 or 3 goals in our district around equity and inclusion, and we need to conduct surveys throughout, whether that's through community parents, teachers, staff, and so on. So we are planning on meeting potentially this Friday. Everybody has some homework right now, and we're supposed to be reviewing that. So yeah, we just wanted to give a quick update on where we are at with that. And Carissa and Dan, if you want to add to that.
Carissa? Yeah, no?
Yeah, I'm just excited about this. I think we're in the process of starting something really big for our district, and I know many people are saying we need our voice included, we want to be heard, but I think it's a great opportunity to really the needs of our students and our parents and families. So yeah, we're just getting started. That's pretty much it. We've met with the district or the Northwest Regional ESD a couple of times. And yeah, we have an upcoming meeting for the next one, but it's not something that you do, like you're kind of thinking, okay, we set up this committee, but it's really a process and a journey that I think the whole district and community will get together. So I think what did they say? Took about 2 years. Was that for Tiger, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a journey, right? So we're just kind of at the start here, trying to get our legs underneath us and figure out what to do, but we're really excited that we have wonderful people that are willing to help us out with this as we go forward.
Yeah, anything to add? Nope. Okay. Move on to 7.0 board communication, superintendent comments. Jeff?
Yeah, so first of all, I apologize. Very sorry I can't be there this evening, but I do appreciate all the public comments and that everybody was able to give public comment and we were able to conduct an in-person meeting. I was impressed by each and every one of you as you went up to speak and being able to have an in-person meeting. So I just want to thank you for that. I really don't have anything to add at this time. I will just mention that I need to put some information together for the board as we move towards the March 31st, but that's a decision that needs to be made as we approach March and the March board meeting. There is some things that need to be clarified for us. A lot of people ask questions, vaccinated versus unvaccinated, quarantine versus not being quarantined and things like that. So we're still gathering information and we're still gathering answers for that. And I think ODE, I think a lot could possibly change between ODE and OHA between now and March 31st as far as quarantine rules and things like that, because it could cause us to go back to a lot of contact tracing, which is a heavy burden on our administrators and schools. Superintendents have expressed that concern as they announced that and having to go back to quite a bit of contact tracing. So I do anticipate hopefully some things will change around that, but again, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. And we just need to keep an eye on numbers and keep an eye on as things change over the next 6 weeks and exactly what would it look like, because I know people are asking questions around that. So I will be working on that throughout the next probably 2 or 3 weeks and gathering information.
Thank you. Takes us to board member comments. Krista? Okay.
Well, it's wonderful to be in person with everyone. It's wonderful to see that Zoom is actually a wonderful way to engage too. For those people who can't be here, I'm really excited that we can do both. And I just appreciate all the comments that you're saying. I think we're all kind of sitting here with heavy hearts. It's tough to hear all the things that we want to fix in our world. And I think it's a very complex situation. There's not a black or white answer to any of it. So I think, I guess I look at this as a great opportunity for all of us to hone our criticality, our critical thinking skills, and our perspective taking. So I'm trying really hard to see things from all different sides, right? And to try to walk in someone else's shoes and understand what it looks like to have their lived experience with whatever's gone on for the last couple of years, right? And then the same thing on the other side. So I just think that's a great thing that we can encourage in our students as they try to figure out how to put the pieces of all of this together. That it's really important. There's lots of different opinions, lots of different experiences to this whole thing. So I just know we can move forward together. Thank you all.
Thank you, Krista. Leslie?
Oh, gosh, it's just so good to be back together with everybody. This is, in person is the way I like it. And I appreciate all of you coming, and I do take all of your comments seriously, believe me. Thank you for the flowers and chocolate. How special. We should do this a little more often. Have a nice get together. I'd also like to tell you our finance manager, Joni, is retiring, and she has been our manager extraordinaire. She has really done a good job, and I'm going to really miss her. Also, you know, we have so many people that work for our district, and we have one who does all the maintenance and the grounds and everything, Dale Burton. He has done a great job since he's been here. If you just notice some of those special things that he's done, and I see he's been rehired, which I'm really happy for. And you know, music, I was devastated also. I think music is the cornerstone of our schools for our kids and for bringing relief of stress. And there's just so many things that our music encompasses. And thank you for bringing that. I appreciate that. I really thank all of our speakers for coming. And I love hearing from our kids. Thank you, kids. I just think it's great that you want to come and tell us your feelings so we can hear that. I just hope we can all be in person forever. This is good. Yes, and without masks. We're all hoping for that time. And thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. Will?
I too want to echo thanks to the staff, first of all. It just seems like we try to work our way through one challenge and another one hits us, and they've just been responding as best they can. I'm really pleased and proud of them, and I appreciate them very much. I appreciate all of you coming and sharing your opinions. Yes, we also consider them, believe it or not, very seriously. There's a lot of things we'd like to be better. I am glad you brought band up today. I'm a kid that carries my band experience through my life, and particularly and Mr. Legrone is one of my favorites as well. And it's one of those really, really, really difficult decisions, like all the rest we're talking about here today. Really, really difficult decisions. Try to understand the interest of the will of the people in the district, and also the trade-offs with all the other challenges that we come against. Not complaining, it's what we do. We have great staff that does it, and I do appreciate your participation. So with that, thank you.
Thanks, Will. Dan?
I really can't say it any better than Leslie did. We're so happy to be here, and we're really happy to see all of you, even under the current circumstances with masks and everything else. I'm sorry for kind of putting you all on the spot with my little outburst. I apologize for that, but I'm so happy that you came here today to share that. I have no idea. We have a lot of things we need to work on. I think the mask thing, the state is addressing it. It's going to work out. The thing that came out recently actually said the 31st of March or sooner. I'm guessing it's really going to be sooner, to be completely honest with you. And to really, what you need to do is email your representatives. If you do that, and there's enough of us doing it, they are going to know that we are serious about this. And Jody, don't shake your head no, because I talked to Solomon when I felt like there was a problem with the way that the state was handling testing and stuff. And they listen. It's hard, right? Because they're getting at it from all different angles. I think it's going to change for the better. I'm really, really positive about that. You know, looking at all the things that our kids have accomplished this year, this fall, with all the great things that they did. This winter, we've got the boys and the girls basketball teams are poised to make a state run each. We have 12 wrestlers that are going to state this year. We have two girl wrestlers that are going to state, which is awesome. We're doing so many great things here. Our dance team is going to state, and they're going to finish really well. Our robotics team is going to state this year, and they're doing really well. One team didn't do well, but the other team is doing really well. There were two teams. And I'm so proud of all the things that they've accomplished, even in spite of all the crap that they've been given in the last 2 years. We just need to be supportive of them for just a little bit longer, and let's get through this together. We hear you. I hate wearing a mask. It's turned me into a mouth breather again. I hate that. I totally agree with you about how we need to change that. And if there is an inequity with vaccinated people, we need to fix that. So I hear you on that, and we will revisit, our policies and look at that. Because you're right, the vaccine doesn't protect you from getting infected, but it does keep you out of the hospital and possibly the morgue, which is wonderful. Anyway, thank you for coming, and happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you, Dan. So just real quick, I want to talk about our two administrators in the high school. Buchanan, Mr. Jacob. When we saw the email about band and the situation, the teacher affects choir as well. I read that both you and Ben would make sure that the people in choir still got to participate in their events at the end, no matter what that was going to take. And it just goes to show me that it doesn't matter what level you are in this community. Our superintendent's there sometimes out on the street directing traffic. It's not a title. It's how do we move the ball forward? How do we do whatever we can for our kids in order to make sure that they have the best experience possible? And I just want to highlight, I don't know if everyone recognized that, but we truly do have an amazing administrative staff who pick up the balls when they get dropped, and just try to get it across the finish line, no matter how we get there. With that, thank you everyone for being here, following the rules of the district. I very much appreciate that. And the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.